Sorry about that. These things are a little tricky to fly.
Yeah, well, I swear, with a slightly larger one, you could do some genuine damage, like maybe even kill somebody. Wait a minute. Let's start the show.
I'm guessing this story is about drones.
It is. In fact, we have two awesome flying stories in this episode. One of them is about these guys. But first up, we have a totally amazing story. Let me ask you, do the words Dragon Lady mean anything to you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, I think we're probably thinking of different things, because Dragon Lady is, in fact, a nickname for the legendary high-altitude single-seater U-2 reconnaissance plane in use by the Air Force since the late 50s.
Okay, what about it?
Well, there is a myth that the U-2 plane is the toughest plane to fly and to land of any other plane. I think we should take a close look at that.
The Air Force isn't going to let us get anywhere near something like that.
134.8, 34.8.
I thought the same thing, but amazingly, they have agreed to let you and I have a close-up, first-person look at their U-2 program and see just how tough those planes are to operate.
Cool. What are we waiting for?
I have the slightest idea. Let's do this.
It takes off straight up and looks something like a jet-propelled four-poster.
The history of aviation is littered with oxymoronic aerodynamics, finicky flyers, and design duds. So, is it possible that one of the most long-lived and highly valued U.S. Air Force vehicles is also the toughest to fly? To open this investigation, there's only one destination.
300 to 06300. 10 research and 10 3 25, reback right back hard away.
King 93, fly heading 250, vector cleared line.
Well, when you've got questions about the U-2 plane, they will get answered here. I'm standing at the home of the U-2 program. This is where the planes are serviced. This is where the pilots train before flying to every corner of the globe to do their jobs. We should totally be able to get to the bottom of this myth here, and we might even get a flight.
To begin to understand just how hard it is to manage this marvel of aviation engineering,
well, Adam, Jamie, this is the infamous and venerable U-2 Dragon Lady.
Major Bartholomew, who has more U-2 flying hours than any Air Force pilot in history, runs the guys through the specs.
The original design dates from the mid-50s. Single engine, high altitude, long wingspan, lots of thrust, lots of lift. We can take a heavy payload up to a great altitude and loiter for a long time.
The challenges this aircraft presents its pilots are numerous and significant.
And all the fuel is kept in the wing.
First up, the plane can't even support its own massive wingspan when it's taking off.
When the wing develops lift, the pogo falls away.
Next, recon missions can be lengthy and are carried out at very high altitudes, which requires complex pressure suit technologies and extreme safety features.
Everything is so thin and so light and just strong enough.
And then there's the landing.
It has quite a heavy footprint because there's just the one main gear carrying all the load.
6, 5, 4.
The wheels are along the center line of the fuselage, so it's like trying to land a bicycle.
When the airplane does tip over, these skids protect the wingtip.
And we'll see later, but on approach, the pilot can't even see the runway.
3, 2.
He has to be guided down by a pilot in a chase car.
Hold at 1 inches.
So far, it's looking pretty good for the myth.
It's an impressive checklist of piloting challenges. But where next?
Well, we need to get a look at this baby in action. To that end, Jamie and I have been given the go-ahead to hitch a ride to the edge of space, and we will now embark on a week-long training program. Yep, it takes a week just to learn how to be a passenger. The problem is, there is only room for one of us.
Whoa!
Please, please, please let it be me.
So the next story is deadly drones?
Indeed it is. If the press is to be believed, drones are totally in our future, delivering our packages and maybe even our pizzas. But there are those who think that they are a deadly danger hiding in plain sight, that a simple gust of wind could send a drone into you and the propellers could slice your throat and kill you.
That sounds like it's custom made for us.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Let's get to testing.
But testing the myth with what? First up, Adam and Jamie take a tour of the full range of drone technology, starting with the supersize.
Allow me to introduce our high-tech, custom-built camera platform. It's got 8 motors totaling 2,800 watts of power. It carries a self-stabilized, high-definition, 3-pound camera. Pretty cool, huh?
And at the other end of the scale,
This is your basic consumer-level multi-rotor. It's on the small side, but it has all the features that the large ones don't. Propellers, motors,
Well, as in any new technology, there can be casualties.
but as per the myth, would one of those casualties ever be human? Could a drone really be deadly? To begin their quest in earnest, it's back to the shop, where Adam has 2 mid-range models most likely to be used in a commercial delivery.
On the left here is a fly it right out of the box small model. Slightly larger is a intermediate kit level model, which comes with all the pieces you need to fly. You just have to assemble them. This one's apparently ready to fly, so I'm going to give it a shot to see how easy it actually is. Really easy to fly.
While the damage done so far is enlightening, a proof of concept is required.
Oh, it dripped juice on me.
To find out if a multi-rotor propeller could ever cause a flesh wound, Adam and Jamie have a standard-sized blade spinning at flight speed on a stick and a chicken.
I think today's lesson is going to be fairly self-explanatory. Whenever you're ready, sir. Yeah! There we go. Yeah! Check that out. That right there, my friends, that's an injury. But let's face it, we're not just talking about an injury, we're talking about lethality. Which means we're really talking about this vein right here, the jugular, yeah. I think if we're gonna continue testing, we need to make a neck as a testing platform that we can run our multirotors into.
Coming up on MythBusters,
Can someone give me a Band-Aid?
Adam's up to his neck in the gory story of a deadly drone. And
Bail out, bail out, bail out.
the guys prepare for the flight of a lifetime.
Complex and terrifying.
Could a drone delivery ever be deadly? Adam and Jamie have a promising proof of concept.
Yeah! There we go!
Now, to cut a little deeper.
Now, if we're going to be testing whether one of these can slice through one of these, we're going to need one of each. And these are easy to buy at the store, but these, well, they're a little harder to come by. We're going to have to make our own. And to do that, I'm going to use a lot of this and this guy right here. And it's going to spurt blood if it actually gets cut. It's going to be awesome.
Yep, Adam's manufacturing a mortal mannequin that will react accurately to an impact.
The basic gist of what I'm going to be doing is casting a neck out of ballistics gelatin. How tall is this neck? Who were these men? With holes in it that I can fill with blood that will be blue for televisual purposes. And it needs to be really close to the edge of the skin. So I'm going to effectively mold those veins using these brass rods in here. It's sort of like thinking inside out and backwards.
With the negative mold of the blood vessels in place, it's time to prepare the fake flesh.
As Jamie and I have discovered, this stuff reacts to a bullet similar to human flesh, but to get the tenacity of skin and muscle, we need to add this fiberglass filler to the ballistics gel as we're casting it into my mold. Aw, beauty. Oh, I'm very pleased with how this is going so far, based on nothing.
Once set, it's simply a case of easing the fleshy throat free of the mold.
Almost. Come on.
That's it. All right. Thank you.
Then Adam plumbs the system with blue blood
Nice.
and tests his anatomically accurate jugular. It's at the right depth beneath the flesh
That is a bleeding neck.
and requires the same force to slice.
All right, can someone give me a Band-Aid? Allow me to introduce you to the analog bursting jugular vein multi-rotor testing neck rig. Yeah, rolls right off the tongue. It is basically a rig for bleeding when it senses a lethal injury. Now, I have more than 2 veins in this rig, even though we have only 2 in our neck, because we can test multiple times just by turning the neck. Yeah, it's like that versatile. So we can test as much as we want and watch bursting blue blood fly out of the veins. I'm gonna stop talking now.
But before Adam's blue blood dummy is deployed in the drone firing line, it's back to Beale Air Force Base to tackle the myth that the U-2 is the world's toughest plane to pilot.
Welcome to high altitude physiology and full pressure suit orientation.
Adam and Jamie are both in training for an in-flight investigation. One will fly, one will be on standby.
Pop your helmet off just like that.
And they're starting with several, not so brief, briefings
We're gonna have a suit controller like this.
about the safety equipment
It acts as a backup pressurization system.
and emergency procedures.
We're going to teach you how to parachute safely to the ground.
These are no minute-long demonstrations from a flight attendant
Primarily, it's to prevent decompression sickness.
and a clear indication of the enormity of the endeavor.
If you were to lose cabin pressure, the suit would
If
inflate.
you are unconscious, there are inflators
During this
inside.
time, your visor is going to freeze over. You will not be able to
This
see.
way, so if you have to cut yourself down from something.
Now, we're nowhere near getting into one of these planes yet, but already we've got all this stuff that we have to know how to deal with.
The good news is you have an ejection seat. The bad news is you actually have to pull your own ejection handle to get out of the aircraft.
Even something like peeing seems like it's kind of a complicated ordeal.
Push down, lock it to the side, and you can begin your slowed, controlled urination.
I don't think that I don't want to be pushing or pulling buttons without really knowing exactly what they do. So it's going to take a little practice.
So why all of this complex equipment? Why is the U-2 program the only program besides NASA
Absolutely unreal.
and the space program that utilizes a full pressure suit?
The primary purpose of wearing this full pressure suit is to prevent hypoxia.
Well, one is, of course, because it flies higher than any other normal airplane into what they call the space equivalent zone above 50,000 feet. But more primarily is what happens to us when we go to that height. Our bodies have evolved to process oxygen properly from sea level to 10,000 feet.
How much is 8 minus 3? 8 minus 3 is 4.
When we go above that, we cease being able to functionally take in oxygen.
Put up the switches, we will die. Put up the switches.
Therefore, the suit and the cabin of the plane have to artificially induce the conditions of atmospheric pressure in order so that the pilots stay alive. That is a significant amount of technology to solve that one problem.
Let's go down on the red lanyard.
It potentially could whack you in the face.
It releases a hook on the inside of your harness.
After a full day of intense information acquisition, day 3 dawns, and our raw recruits
Time to start training.
are getting physical.
Want to see the coolest part? Aha, look at that. Patch.
With a crash course in what to do if the plane crashes.
That's 3 weeks of Army Airborne parachute training right there. That's all you do.
Land!
This is pretty cool. We've just gotten walked through all of the different contingencies that could happen if we have to bail out of the plane at altitude.
This is very cool.
What happens when the parachute lands, how to land,
As soon as you land like so,
You're gonna break one of them.
something's broken.
Fascinating.
and most specifically, there we are. I just learned how to actually lower myself if I end up landing in a tree and I'm like hanging above the ground. There we go. And then lowering myself safely down to the ground. Lower myself down.
Very nice.
All of this is stuff that I hope I only ever have to try here in the safety of this room.
It's been a long and exhausting day,
Bail out, bail out, bail out.
and the sheer scale of the task, technology, and expertise required to fly at the edge of space could not be more apparent.
2 words come to mind during all this. Complex and terrifying.
3 days of information overload,
The ejection seat we have was also used in the first 4 flights of the Space Shuttle Columbia.
and the rigors of flying the Dragon Lady are evident. But is it the hardest plane to pilot? To find out, the MythBusters are being prepped to fly to the edge of space.
These are like my space jammies.
And despite the high spirits,
All right, sir, can you hear me?
Yep, I kind of feel like dancing.
the pressure is on, literally.
All right, bring you up on system 2.
Jamie and Adam have one final stage of training to be passed as fit to fly.
Oh,
You doing okay?
that's different. In fact, that doesn't feel very good. Ow.
Can I bring you back down?
I could see somebody feeling like panicking. It's just, that's a lot of stuff to process.
They each have a full systems check in the pressure suit, followed by a high-altitude emergency simulation.
Right now, Jamie is getting fitted into this high-altitude pressure chamber.
Right and left gloves are integrated and locked.
It will replicate the lack of pressures that he might experience under different circumstances in that very suit.
The environment inside the chamber will simulate the flight plan of a U-2.
So, Jamie, what we're going to do now is bring the chamber up to 5,000 feet, check the ears and sinuses, and make sure they're clearing okay.
If the cabin pressure of the U-2 was to fail,
How you feeling right now?
I feel fine.
Jamie needs to prove he can operate the suit and emergency systems.
So right now we're just doing a slow ascent up to flight level 400.
As they approach cruising altitude, there's a startling reminder of the dangers involved.
Oh, there we go.
A beaker of water at body temperature begins to boil. If Jamie's suit were to fail, that's what the liquids in his body would do.
All right, let's go ahead and try to reach that ejection handle.
With that thought in mind, and at maximum altitude, Jamie has a few tasks to complete.
Down by your right buttocks there, that's the scramble handle.
Pull it up towards your chin just a little bit. That's good.
The final being the suit's automated response to a sudden cabin pressure failure.
3, 2, 1. And go ahead and pull that helmet hold down.
That was something else. It's kind of scary, actually.
1.
There's a lot of force, and when they decompressed rapidly, it's just like, whoa. You're sort of feeling like popcorn.
While Jamie clearly didn't enjoy the experience, he did pass muster.
Awesome.
Cue fanboy Savage.
Oh, the gloves. The coolest thing about this is I'm not just wearing a suit. I'm not even wearing a machine. Wow. Oh, man, that's far out. Woo! I'm wearing the apex of decades of tens of thousands of people problem solving how to survive in hostile conditions. And I can feel that technology. Whoa. I can feel how reliable they've made things to touch and to understand with your hands. All of this born by hard experience. Lots of people gave their lives so that this suit could protect these pilots.
Are you good to go?
I am good to go.
Honestly, everything about this kind of astounds me that people do this every single day.
Starting climb at 5,000 feet at 5,000 feet per minute.
It takes a team of people to put me in this suit correctly.
How's your comfort level?
Well, I'm fighting up a storm.
But more than that, once I was under the simulated depressurizations,
Oh, there we go. Wow.
where the suit would inflate, it gets incredibly tiring.
Locate the ejection handle in between your legs. Oh, there you go. So your fingers around it. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
These guys have to be in incredible shape because I was just sitting in a chair being tested. These guys are actually potentially flying planes under these conditions.
3, 2, 1. Go ahead and pull that green lanyard. Use the mirror.
So, our training is done and we are ready to fly.
Excellent. Welcome. Welcome, everyone.
Remember, we went through all of that just to be passengers on the U-2. Now we got to do two things. One, we got to figure out which one of us is going to fly, me or Jamie. And two, we got to let these professionals figure out the logistics of their flight plan. Just a little bit of waiting.
While Adam and Jamie wait for flight clearance, the guys decamp to the perfect location for wind-protected precision flying.
We are testing the myth that multirotors can possibly be lethal. So this is our multirotor, this is our multirotor pilot, James Franklin Heineman, and this is our potential victim with veins filled with blue blood, clearly a Vulcan, who we're going to steer this thing right into. You ready to fly?
Sure. Okay, here we go.
All right.
For this first test, we're going to get our little copter up about this high.
I wouldn't want this thing flying at me. Sounds like a swarm of angry bees.
and then drive it right into the neck of our dummy. And we'll see what happens at that speed with those propellers.
Oh! That was a perfect hit.
And it was going pretty quick. It doesn't seem to me that anything at all happened to the neck.
Take a look at the high-speed footage of the multi-rotor hitting the neck. You can see the props bending right out of the way, even in the face of something as soft as neck flesh. Yeah, clearly they were designed to do that.
Yep, the fly-it-out-of-the-box quadcopter didn't make a dent. But next up, the kit model.
Aha! That was much scarier.
More likely to be used for large deliveries, it's heavier, has more power, 6 rotors, and sturdier propellers. Let's see what it can do.
Oh.
Oh, that's no good.
Take 2.
It's going right for me. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Sorry about that.
I'd rather not experiment on each other.
The larger model is proving trickier to handle. But eventually, Jamie gets it going where he wants it.
Yeah! Ah! Nice!
Well, bigger multi-rotor, bigger propellers, nice fat hit right here in the main. Nothing. No penetration. I just say that aside from being amazing pieces of technology, these multi-rotors are genuinely spooky to be around. 1, they sound like a hive of angry bees. 2, I am genuinely physically afraid of them hitting me, but apparently that fear is without any reason because we've been smacking them into our necks without any injury whatsoever. So where does that leave us? Come on, we're the MythBusters. We're gonna sling our camera platform into it. This has 8 rotors, weighs 16 pounds, and the propellers are not made of plastic that bends out of the way. No, they're made of carbon fiber. I'm genuinely scared about what this is gonna do to this neck. Scared and hopeful.
The myth that one of these can cause a lethal injury is looking suspect.
He's totally fine.
But the team is dumping the 2 realistic mid-range models and going for broke with the MythBusters' own custom-made camera-carrying behemoth.
I thought the other 2 multi-rotors were scary.
Cue the team's expert pilot, Duncan, and this myth's final chance for gory glory.
I was wrong. That thing is terrifying.
This large multi-rotor is a different beast than what we've been handling earlier.
All right, shall we do this?
You ready? Ready. It's much bigger and heavier. Once it starts to move into the neck, it doesn't want to just bounce off because it's so heavy. So I think this is going to actually do something to our neck. Something bad.
Look at that!
It's bleeding.
That's bad! Dude! Yes! There you have it, kids. It's all fun and games until someone loses an eye or a vein.
You put your finger there, you'll be fine.
I'm not sure. So what have we proven after all this mayhem? I think we've actually proven 2 different things. On one hand, the smaller multi-rotors you can buy at the store are pretty darn safe, and they're designed to be that way. But this is a new hobby, and there are lots of people building larger and larger multi-rotors to handle bigger and bigger payloads. And when those multi-rotors get bigger, the dangers they present are absolutely real. I know we've been looking at a worst-case scenario, but I think we got to call this thing plausible. You agree?
I agree. You know, as a general rule, I always try not to put my neck near large, heavy, fast-moving objects with spinning blades on them.
I think that's a good general rule. Let's get out of here.
Back at Beale, the guys are ready to carry out the final test on the mythically difficult-to-fly U-2. But only one of them gets to go.
Well, you know, for crying out loud, you're a fanatic about this stuff. You collect these things.
Yeah, I do.
So I can't, in good conscience, deny you the pleasure of doing something like that.
I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much.
You owe me one.
Oh, I totally owe you one. Absolutely.
Jamie the gentleman steps down. A very happy Adam steps up.
I'm pretty excited. Can you tell?
For the defining, not quite hands-on test.
Now it's go time to figure out just how hard this plane will be to fly. I won't be flying it. No. I'll just be helping to assess that.
It is an unbelievable day here in Northern California. There is barely a cloud in the sky. It's incredibly clear. It is a perfect day for flying.
The engine's starting to spool up.
Oh, yeah.
Once that's happened and we have sufficient RPM, I'll add a little bit of jet fuel here.
Okay, here we go, folks. Adam's got to be freaking out about now.
All right, Adam, at this point you need to make sure that the boost lever is aft and your T-block there under your left rib cage is 1 notch open.
Yes, it is currently 1 notch open. Boost lever is still aft.
I'll tell you one thing, this plane is such a unique and problematic thing to fly that it requires a lot of people to make sure it's all perfect before it takes off.
All right, the pogo crew has pulled the pins, so the pogos will fall away as we take off.
Speed planning 250, take your clear climb.
All the checklists have been checked. We are just seconds away from taking off.
All right, here we go. Brake release, full power.
Here we go.
Here we go. We are taking off. Oh, man. That is a lot of horsepower. Wow, we're already lifting. That's crazy. Wow.
Man, that's steep.
Wow. We are already lifting. We're banking hard to the right. This is part of a takeoff that keeps the U-2 above the base. We're sort of spiraling straight up.
Holy cow! That was so fast!
We're turning on a dime as we spiral up into the air, climbing very rapidly.
After a tricky takeoff and rapid initial ascent,
Oh my God, the view is beautiful.
Major Bartholomew and Adam get a chance to sit back and relax
Right now we just passed the top of Mount Everest.
until they attain cruising altitude.
We're transitioning now from 160 knot climb to a 0.715 Mach cruise.
3/4 the speed of sound. This is officially the highest off the ground I have ever been. We're coming up on 60,000 feet, 12 miles above the surface of the Earth. The sky has gotten to be a very, very dark blue. What an unbelievably beautiful day. And from this height, 67,500 feet, the edge of our planet has a definitive curve to it. It is more three-dimensional than I have ever seen it. There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, 70,000 feet. At this point, aside from the 6 astronauts on the space station, we are the 2 highest humans off of planet Earth. More than double the height of a standard commercial airliner. Oh, and did I mention I'm wearing a pressurized spacesuit? Yeah, strapped to a rocket. This is not a bad way to spend your day. Jamie, I totally owe you one.
The complex, exhaustive preparations and taxing takeoff seem a world away.
Oh, look at that. Wow, that is San Francisco. That's my home.
But this is exactly what the U-2 is designed to do. Spend hours up here, looking down, gathering intelligence.
The view from a commercial airliner is beautiful. This one is transcendent.
It's the maneuvers at either end of proceedings where the pilots earn the big bucks. The challenges in landing this plane are unique, And Adam is about to get a real close look.
We'll be back with our landing after this commercial break.
Hey, Space Boy, how you doing up there?
I'm doing pretty good, Jamie. The view up here is absolutely astonishing. Looking up makes you realize that you've left the bulk of the Earth's atmosphere. That's why it's dark. You're looking down at this fragile mist that surrounds our globe that allows us to breathe. What allows me to do so is the ingenuity of thousands and thousands of hardworking men and women who have sought to harness the raw materials that we dig out of the ground into things as astonishing as airplanes and pressure suits. What a privilege. Oh man, that is a lot of horsepower. Wow, we're already lifting. That's crazy. Whoa! Wow! Oh my God, the view is beautiful. Wow, look at that.
There's no doubt the high-altitude U-2 is a beautiful piece of aviation technology.
Caffeinated apple pie. Yeah.
But the question yet to be answered is,
oh, that's delicious.
Is it the most difficult to fly and land?
These guys fly these planes upwards of 12 to 14 hours at a time.
Yep, and after such mammoth flight times,
you must have some butt-shimmying exercises you do to keep yourself from going numb during long flights. I call it building your ass callus.
comes the landing.
Alrighty, ready to begin the descent?
This is where the rubber meets the runway.
I'm going to start by dropping the gear so you'll feel a little bit of a clunk.
And perhaps the biggest challenge facing any pilot anywhere.
2 gear down and locked. Now I'm going to bring the throttle back.
The Dragon Lady lands tail wheel first at a speed that practically stalls the wing. And with only 2 sets of landing gear in the center of the fuselage, it's like landing a bicycle.
The pilot has lowered the landing gear and implemented several procedures to add drag so that it's moving slow enough when we get to the runway that we can actually land.
That's not all. There's the ground effect. The U-2's high aspect ratio wings and commensurate uplift means that on final approach, it tends to float, requiring incredible skill to control. There's also the issue of runway visibility.
This is a chase car, and it's being driven by an actual U-2 pilot, because the pilot in the plane has such limited visibility that he can't even see the runway when he's down close to it. This pilot is going to be talking him down with foot-by-foot instructions so that he can respond appropriately at the right time.
And we got our threshold speed, being under 2300 down to 207. And now this is the fun part. This is the part where I earned the big U2 pilot bonus money. All right, so we have one guy rolling out on final ahead of us.
Yeehaw!
We are gear down, flaps full, speed brakes out, stall switch deployed, lights on, and spoilers in the landing position. Configured and ready for landing.
40 to T.
Look at that.
15, 12, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, let it down a little, let 4, 3, 2, hold it 1 inches.
Wow.
Very nice. Welcome back, gentlemen. He's required by tradition to say very nice, whether it is or not.
Oh, okay.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Adam. Now there's our big old reception committee. All right, throttle off.
All right, editors, if you could give us a little montage of some of the astonishing things we've gotten to do in the course of doing MythBusters.
Welcome back.
I'm thinking flying a rocket car across the desert. Watching a rocket sled accelerate to the speed of sound and hit the immovable wall. That was awesome! Sliding down a 200-foot water slide at 70 feet through the air into a target. This tops all of those by a factor of 2. That was unbelievable, unrepeatable, incredible. I'm out of superlatives.
I have just spent the last 2 hours strapped to a rocket, wearing a spacesuit, flying to the edge of our Earth's atmosphere and seeing my hometown from a vantage point.
Wow, it's a great view of the bridge.
It is an incredible view.
That was completely unique.
So Adam, how do you figure we're going to call this? Because, I mean, this is supposed to be the most difficult plane to fly, but we haven't looked at any other planes.
Okay, but we did learn this. It is a completely unique airframe, purpose-built for a completely unique mission. It requires a more numerous flight crew and a more exhaustive set of protocols than any other plane in the military, and it is the only airborne endeavor besides going to space that requires the wearing of a spacesuit.
This is not a bad way to spend your day.
I think that places it in the plausible category.
Okay.
All right, I think it also places it in the ultra-cool category.
Absolutely.
Let's get out of here.
So Adam, do you know why she's called the Dragon Lady?
No, I don't.
Because you don't know whether she's going to land like a dragon or a lady.